Congress is back in session tomorrow after a 2-week break, and they have their work cut out for them. Stalled judicial nominations in the Senate, a budget proposal in the House, controversy in the Supreme Court. But first, we are discussing a case that could have drastic effects on people's lives. Mifepristone, one of a 2-pill treatment used to terminate a pregnancy in its first 10 weeks, has been in circulation for more than 2 decades. It has a safety record of 99%. It is the nation's most common method of abortion. And a single judge in Texas has put that access in jeopardy. Judge Matthew Kacsmaryk suspended the Food and Drug Administration's approval of mifepristone earlier this month, giving the government a week to appeal. They did, to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. That order was then narrowly agreed with by the Fifth Circuit. So the order was then temporarily blocked by the Supreme Court, Justice Samuel Alito, but only until this upcoming Wednesday. That's when the High Court will decide whether to keep mifepristone available as normal while the appeals process continues to play out, or further attack a woman's right to make choices about her own body. Now, if that wasn't scary enough, the bigger picture could have even more dangerous consequences. 85 years ago, Congress tasked the FDA with a crucial responsibility. It was to determine the safety and effectiveness of medications before approving them for the public. All kinds of medications, okay? So Congress recognized that a body of experts, not themselves, right, and certainly not one judge, should be making these life or death determinations. Well, if Kacsmaryk's ruling is allowed to stand, there would be precedent for judges across the country to rely on their own opinions, not on expert conclusions. It could undermine FDA approval of any medicine, especially one that's been politicized. Think about it. Vaccines, birth control pills, you name it, it could be on the chopping block. The question is, are you comfortable delegating the safety of your medicine to someone who did their own research? Well, here to discuss all of this and more is Democratic Senator and member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Senator Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota. Welcome to you. You were sitting here laughing while I was reading the thing. I mean, this is a point that you and other senators have made. You signed on to an amicus brief to the Supreme Court, citing this very issue of the experts. Wednesday is D-Day, if you will. What will happen if Judge Kacsmaryk, if his ruling is upheld by the Supreme Court?
Well, and the reason I was smiling is that you were doing such a good job, Simone, of going through just what a huge deal this is. Obviously huge to those women who need reproductive services, when over half the abortions in this country use this drug. Safe in 60 countries, safe for over 2 decades. But then you have the other side, and that is that if you allow, and you said it so well, one judge to do this in Amarillo, Texas, 2 other Trump appointees from the Fifth Circuit basically saying, hey, we don't like the 10 weeks, it's 7 weeks instead. And hey, you can't put it in the mail and you can't buy it in a pharmacy. What is next? Birth control pills, such a great example. How about Lipitor, I would add to the mix. Any kind of drug this judge or maybe some other judge for some reason doesn't like, this is not what Congress said. Congress gave the FDA the power to make these kinds of decisions. And by the way, the American Medical Association, not exactly a radical group, has said this. They actually said, and I quote, "There is no evidence that people are harmed by having access to this safe and effective medication."
It's a medication that's been in rotation for more than 20 years, as we have noted. So, look, I think right now in America, it's a very untenable situation for women. Depending on where you live, you either have access to the care you need or you don't. So you have spoken about aggressive litigation to address this issue. But what should women do in the meantime? I mean, aggressive litigation, it takes time. And in the meantime, there's care that they are not able to access.
Exactly. And I think that women have done a good job of turning out and voting in this last midterms. It's one of the major reasons that we still have the Senate, which allows us, starting where you're asked when we get back, as in tomorrow, to start confirming a whole bunch of judges. But this is still going to be on the ballot in 2024. As you know, different states are debating, from the mess that happened in Florida with the 6-week ban signed into law by Governor DeSantis, to what is going on in other states where they're looking at criminalizing doctors, criminalizing women for making this decision. It's going to be a state-by-state vote, but it is also going to be a federal vote because the presidency will be on the ballot. So I think organizing on this issue is really important, and then making clear to the government officials, because the Republicans have been deafeningly silent on this front since this crazy decision came out, making it clear to people where they are, people in Congress right now calling them on Monday.
So what if the Supreme Court then, if they do uphold Judge Kazmier's ruling, you talk about, yes, there is a role to play for 2024, but that is, we haven't even had the first primary elections, let alone the first debates happening for the Republican primary, which comes up at the end of August. Is there anything Congress could do if the Supreme Court stands with the Texas judge this Wednesday?
Okay, so that will be a stay. So that litigation, as you point out, is continuing. Let's not forget there's a case out of Washington State, which covers my state and 17 others, that is also going to be working it up, that said the opposite, that said this is legal. So that Justice Department pursuit of these cases is incredibly important. Then you have, what can Congress do? Well, first of all, putting the Women's Health Protection Act in place would forever cement Roe v. Wade, codify Roe v. Wade into law. You've got strong Democratic support under Speaker Pelosi's leadership. Last Congress, it passed in the House, and the only thing I think stopping it is the filibuster in the Senate, which I would change. Then you could also do more when it comes to the FDA. But we will cross that bridge when we come to it, because I'm not going to rule out that the Supreme Court will lift the stay from the Fifth Circuit and from that federal judge in Amarillo. Why? Because they have always interpreted standing, your ability to sue on these kinds of things, narrowly, including Justice Scalia's own words from the past. They have a group that doesn't represent the American Medical Association that's come forward and saying, hey, we have moral issues with that. Okay, is that harm, or is that anticipated harm to the individuals that brought this suit? I don't think so. I can tell you the people who are going to be harmed. It is the women that are going to have to get on a bus and go from Texas to Minnesota. That is real harm. So let's watch to see if that's what they use to get out of the mess created by these three Trump-appointed judges.
You talked about what Congress has on the table this week, particularly the Senate Judiciary Committee. You talked about confirming judges. Lots of conversation in the news about the ability to do this. Senator Dick Durbin, who chairs the Senate Judiciary Committee, himself has admitted months ago, actually, in press reports that it has been difficult to confirm judges given the absence of Senator Dianne Feinstein. I think right now we know, according to the American Constitution Society, currently 14 judicial nominees are waiting to be reported out of committee. Now, NBC News has yet to confirm this, but it is reported that Senator Schumer this week will put a resolution on the floor to temporarily fill Senator Feinstein's seat on the Senate Judiciary Committee. She has asked Senator Schumer to do that. It's reported that he is going to do that. One, is that going to happen? Do we know about the resolution? And if so, do you all have the votes to have it confirmed via unanimous consent? Or are we talking about this filibuster situation where we need 60 votes?
Okay, that is at play. But let me give you the facts as I see it. Number one, she did the right thing, saying she'll step away from that committee. We need the votes. I'm on that committee. We haven't been able to confirm judges for a month. We can't do markups on legislation. That's when we pass the legislation through the committee. Number two, I talked to Senator Schumer late last week. He made very clear he's going to do this as soon as possible. Number three, it does need 60 votes. But if you look at the past, and I'm going way back machine here, but when Bob Dole resigned from the Senate to run for president and Trent Lott took over, unanimous vote from the senators to fill those. There was a juggling, a rejuggling.
But that scenario is a resignation, and Senator Feinstein has been very clear she's not resigning.
Right,
There's a recent scenario on resignation. You got Senator, when Ben Sass stepped down, Senator Sass, Nebraska, Pete Ricketts, unanimous consent to confirm him.
Right. I'm hoping they will do the right thing. If they don't, then we will deal with that at the moment. But I don't understand, given her situation, that she's recovering from shingles, when they themselves have had members out for long periods of time, why they wouldn't do this. If they don't, we'll have to deal with it then. But we will need 10 Republicans to be able to put that over the top.
I want to ask you about Clarence Thomas before we go. First, do you think a woman should replace Senator Feinstein on the committee?
I am not going to weigh in on who should replace her on the committee. I think that is Senator Schumer's call, and I have such great faith in my colleagues that really it could be anyone.
Lots of very, very diplomatic answer. Look, there's lots of conversation in the news, these ProPublica reports about the lack of reports from Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas on his financial relationship with a mega donor, Republican mega donor, Harlan Crow. You had noted, you said earlier today on one of the Sunday shows that that there needs to be some ethics rules. They need to be clear and enforceable. And you said that if the Supreme Court doesn't do it themselves, Congress will do it. What does enforceable look like if the Supreme Court is doing it? Because can we expect them to police themselves?
You know what? The federal judiciary, every other federal judge in the country has these ethic rules, but they also have a council and people that are looking at them and telling them if they do wrong and holding them accountable. That has to happen on the Supreme Court. They actually need some kind of enforcement mechanism beyond themselves. And what has happened, the news that we've gotten in the last week just gets more and more troublesome. I mean, he was claiming that it was an exception because it was a friendship, which, of course, didn't develop until after he was a justice on the Supreme Court. You can't claim this with this property. The property has to be reported. There is no exception for being buddy-buddy with someone. There is nothing. It just has to be reported under the law if it's over $1,000 for any kind of real estate transaction. And he reported literally getting tires. He reported getting a medallion from Yale, and he did not report that he benefited from the sale of this house and from the rehab of this house and surrounding properties and the fact we don't even know what else there is, which is why we've called for an investigation.
Is the Senate Judiciary Committee holding a hearing on this week?
We are. I don't know exactly what day it is. It may be the week after this week. That's up to Senator Durbin. But we have to have a hearing, and I would hope it would be in the next few weeks.
All right, we're out of time, Senator Amy Klobuchar, but I mean, are you all calling? I guess you don't. We will have to have you back because I want to know if you're going to call Justice Clarence Thomas. You have any intel on that today?
No, I do not.
Okay, well, Senator Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's very good to see you.